Have you ever just paused for a second to wonder if you're actually growing, even when it feels like absolutely nothing is happening? I feel like so many of us imagine that becoming our best selves has to be this really loud, dramatic moment. We picture this massive breakthrough or a bold, life altering decision, or maybe just a magical day when suddenly the clouds part and absolutely everything makes perfect sense. But if we're being truly honest with ourselves, real transformation almost never arrives that way. Stick with me here, because the beautiful truth is, true personal growth doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It actually slips into your life completely unnoticed. It happens in the quiet moments, in those tiny little shifts, and in the spaces between our everyday actions.
How do you know you're changing? It's a question we really pause to ask ourselves, isn't it? We're often so intensely focused on where we want to be, the distant goals and the ideal versions of ourselves, that we completely miss the profound shifts happening right beneath our feet. I want you to just sit with that question for a moment, because the most reliable evidence of your growth isn't found in some grand achievement or a shiny trophy on a shelf. It's actually found in how you've been quietly changing while no one, not even you, was really paying attention.
Think back to a time not so long ago. You might realize that a difficult conversation, maybe a harsh word, a misunderstanding, or a piece of tough criticism, would have just completely derailed you. Like a conversation that ruins your entire week. You would have carried it around like a heavy stone. But today, that same kind of conversation might just linger for an hour. Don't get me wrong, a disappointment still stings. It still hurts, for sure. But the crucial point here is that it no longer convinces you that you're failing. You are gradually responding to life from a brand new place. You're beginning to walk away from things with your energy actually intact. So let's talk about making peace with the unknown, navigating uncertainty and life's detours. I'm sure you can remember a time when uncertainty felt absolutely unbearable, when you felt like you were needing every answer immediately before taking a single step forward, just endlessly overanalyzing every possibility so you could feel safe. But now, you're transitioning toward trusting the timeline of your life. Something incredibly different is happening within you. You still appreciate answers, of course, but you no longer believe that every unanswered question is an emergency. And letting go of the need to control everything, that's not giving up. It's actually a beautiful, profound sign of emotional confidence. You're giving yourself the grace of time. I absolutely love this thought. Life isn't a puzzle to solve all at once. It's something you understand by living through it. Sometimes the deepest wisdom only arrives after experience has had the time to speak. You start to see that life isn't really unfolding in straight, predictable lines. It unfolds in rich, messy, complex layers. And what once felt like a disastrous detour or a closed door that just broke your heart is now slowly being recognized simply as redirection. You're learning to adapt with grace instead of panicking. Which brings us to a new way to heal, building true emotional resilience. For so long, many of us were taught that healing meant becoming invincible. We thought that if we were truly healed, we'd be completely untouched by pain or unexpected change, like we'd build this giant fortress around our hearts and never feel a sting again. But instead, healing is learning to return to yourself. This is so absolutely crucial. Healing isn't about becoming made of stone. Maybe criticism still stings you. Maybe loss still brings tears to your eyes, and unexpected change still shakes your confidence for a moment. But you notice something truly remarkable happening. You don't stay lost as long. You no longer build a permanent home inside those temporary emotions. You know the way back home to yourself. So the question begins to shift. Instead of just managing your stress, you start asking, what quietly brings me alive? We spend so many years becoming absolute experts at identifying what drains us, but real transformation makes room for a new inquiry. Maybe for you, it's the stillness of early mornings before the whole world wakes up. Maybe it's a slow walk without a destination, a really meaningful conversation with a dear friend, or just reading a book for no other reason than pure curiosity. You're actively making room for the things that genuinely restore and nourish your soul. And that naturally leads to the shift inward, finding your true guide. Perhaps the greatest, most invisible change of all happens entirely inside your own mind, moving from the inner critic to the inner guide. It's a change literally no one else can see, but it completely alters how you experience the world. That harsh voice that once demanded absolute perfection, the one that used to say, "Why can't you ever get this right?" Well, it begins to change its tone. It softens. It starts asking kinder, more compassionate questions. It quietly wonders, what would help you move forward right now? Imagine hearing that gentle, guiding voice thousands of times a year instead of a critical one. It's a real game changer. As that inner voice softens, what you value externally changes too. You find yourself drawn to conversations that linger rather than applause that disappears. As we mature emotionally, external recognition just kind of loses some of its grip on us. And actually, scratch that, it's not that a compliment doesn't feel nice. Of course it does. But it no longer dictates your worth or decides how meaningful your life feels. You experience this lovely, deep relief. You realize you'd much rather build something lasting and true than something that's merely impressive.
So we arrive at returning to you, shedding what isn't yours. There is just so much pressure in the world to constantly reinvent ourselves, right? To wake up and become this brand new, optimized version of who we were yesterday. But I want to softly dismantle that idea right now. Becoming your best self is simply about this. Not a new person, a clearer one. Maybe the goal all along was just to stop carrying everything that was never truly yours to begin with. The heavy, borrowed expectations, the endless, exhausting comparisons. Little by little, you're shedding all of that. And the arrival of that clearer, quieter, more honest version of you doesn't come with a parade. It comes with a profound, quiet relief.
If these changes are sounding familiar to you today, please don't dismiss them just because they seem ordinary or quiet. Just look at the quiet forces of transformation all around us. Mountains are shaped silently over millennia. Trees grow towering and strong without making a single sound. The sunrise paints the entire sky with breathtaking color, and it never once asks for applause. The deepest, most enduring transformations in our world and in ourselves rarely announce themselves. They simply keep unfolding day by day, breath by breath.
So the crucial takeaway here is this. Your best self is being revealed every time you respond a little differently than yesterday. One day, you just realize you handle life with more patience, more perspective, and far more peace than you ever thought possible. You may not feel finished. Very few of us ever truly do. But perhaps that's the whole shebang. Your best self isn't waiting for you at some distant finish line in the future. It's happening right now. And it has probably been happening far more often than you've given yourself credit for.
I want to leave you with a lingering thought to carry with you today. Which quiet change made you realize you weren't the same person you used to be? Take a moment for yourself, maybe with your journal, or just sitting quietly with your coffee, and really honor that change. Acknowledge the incredible quiet work you've been doing. And if you feel moved to, I'd absolutely love for you to share your story. Because when you share your quiet growth, you just might help someone else discover their own. Keep trusting your unfolding.